How many of you here are educators? Put up your hand. Teachers, principal, you know, anybody who teaches somebody? The rest are from the civil service, am I right? Okay, teachers out there. Any one of you teaches science in school? Okay, I'm going to ask you a very simple question, all right? If you got the answer correct, I'm going to give you a prize. Why is it that during a thunderstorm you always see the lightning first, then you hear the thunder? Light travel faster than sound. It's so logical. You know what Ah Beng's sons did when he came home? You know, Ah Beng, for the sake of the non-Chinese, Ah Beng is the equivalent of to the what they call it dumb blonde joke in the US and so on. Okay, so pardon me. Ah Beng's son came home and asked, Dad, why is it that during a thunderstorm we always see the lightning first, then we see we hear the thunder? And Ah Beng, being the father, was so angry. Stupid fellow! I sent you to school for what? Our eye in front, so we see first. And our ear behind, that's why we hear it later. Guys, you know our school teaches us logical thinking, arithmetic, science and so on, but you know life is not so logical. The events of life are totally illogical. Leadership is also illogical. Sometimes we don't make decisions based on logic. There are emotions involved, there are principles involved, there are values involved.
Dr. Low's speech, I thought his ability to capture an audience's imagination was exemplary. I think the history of himself, his openness, his transparency, his sense of humour, and the advice that he gave to teachers is very important. And that advice you'd like to think teachers would and school leaders would share with their children. If you get knocked down, you pick yourself up. You know, if you get knocked down again, you pick yourself up again, and you keep rubbing yourself off until eventually you make it through. I thought it was a good speech. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it had some good information in there, and I know the audience enjoyed it.
Also found Dr. Lau very, very amusing, but I love people who present from the heart, because I think that really the future of anything, education, anything really, is about being able to touch your heart and being able to be proud enough of your failures to be able to talk about them with the entire world. I think we hear and see a lot about people being successful, but we have absolutely no idea how they attain that success.
A successful event is where you actually feel the energy level of the hall being very high. There's a lot of laughter, yet in between the laughter, like what Dr. Low did, was a lot of serious thoughts and reflections. And I think that's a big takeaway.
For the doctor's presentation, I must say he's very witty, very passionate about what he's doing. And one thing I like about his presentation is that he talks about integrity. To be able to fulfill your integrity and not to let people down, I think it's a very important attribute of a person, and also at the same time having that lecture in the afternoon is not easy, but he's able to interject us and give us a lot of energy because of his very interesting and funny stories. So I really enjoy coming, and no regrets.
What I value was the authentic nature of his sharing. That being the letter A, his authentic is genuine and very credible. And I think he shares the essence of it without even having any kind of camouflage. The other thing was he being very true to himself, and I found that very credible. What's more, I think I value a lot his being very candid in his sharing. And I think that brings a lot of credibility to what he has said. I would say that a lot of insights I've learned today from the sharing of Dr. Low.
People like Dr. Low Lee Yong, I think he's one speaker that, has left a deep impression with a lot of audience, judging at the responses from the audience that I talked to. If you notice his speech, he is somewhat an unconventional person, because my takeaway from his speech is that he's someone who is very real, very original, I would say, very original, and of course very humorous. And one thing I always tell him, that Dr. Low, your joke really carries a lot of substance. It's something whereby, we have to think, not just listening only, but after that we still have to digest. Wow, Dr. Low, I can't wait to, invite you again for our next event.
Get connected with Dr. Low Lee Yong.